Welcome back. There's tension on City Council over how to fix Austin's housing crisis. Council members agree a land development code rewrite is needed, but about a third of them are worried about the draft moving closer to a final vote. Now, here to talk about what needs to be fixed is City Council member Ann Kitchen. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Council member, why did you vote no last week, and what concerns do you have with the current proposal?
Well, I voted no because it's unclear to me that we're actually going to achieve what we're trying to achieve. You know, I think it's really, really important that we get this right and that we not risk things like losing affordable housing or making streets unsafe for people.
And in a joint statement against the second reading, you all said the draft will make housing more unaffordable and degrade quality of life. What changes would you like to see to address this issue?
Well, the problem is that we are engaged in this one-size-fits-all zoning that doesn't take into account what's happening on the ground. So, for example, we are adding additional housing on streets that don't have sidewalks. We're reducing parking requirements, and we're adding density on streets that don't have sidewalks. And we're not planning for sidewalks. There's already safety concerns about kids having to play in the street or walking in the street. And so we just need to plan better. If there are areas that we believe are appropriate, we as a community believe are appropriate for more housing, we need to make sure everything works together, including sidewalks, and we need to be careful about traffic safety.
Let's talk about some compromises that have been talked about. After the vote last week, Mayor Adler said he offered a compromise of limiting transition zones to 2 blocks. Is this good enough for you, and how will you ensure residents are not affected in these areas along major streets like you were just talking about?
I think we have to do 2 things. I think we have to pull back on the transition zones, which means pulling back on this one-size-fits-all kind of mapping, and then we have to combine that with a process that listens to people so that we have the kind of planning process so that we listen to neighborhoods and they can tell us where it makes sense in their area to both add housing and to preserve existing affordable housing. Because we are risking right now that these neighborhoods have existing housing, affordable housing for renters and for families, and we're risking accelerating the market pressures and losing those kinds of housing, losing those kinds of homes.
Looking more into that developer side of things, yesterday Council member Flanagan told us affordable housing would be solved in 3 separate parts, including fixing the fee and lieu system. But you've stated it could actually accelerate the loss of affordable housing and to stabilize neighborhoods. Could you go a little bit more into that?
Well, one of the key things that we have to make sure we get right is preserving existing affordable housing, particularly multifamily housing for renters and for families. And I'm not satisfied that we're doing that yet. So we need to keep working at it to make sure that we do that. The pressures in our central city neighborhoods is to tear down these smaller homes and build much larger, much more expensive homes. And if we're not careful, we're going to end up with our central neighborhoods only being affordable to those who have more means.
There's already a lot of residents speaking out about this. There's a developing lawsuit between property owners and the city regarding the right to protest. And this rewrite is actually happening this week. What are your thoughts on their request?
Well, I think that one of the reasons we're seeing this is because we have not listened to the community. We need to ask people. We have asked people, but we're not listening to what they think works in their neighborhood. I think that there's agreement across the city that we need more housing and we need more affordable housing. The question is where it best fits. And we need to listen to the community because they're the most impacted, and we need to listen to where they think it works.
Final thoughts. We're almost out of time. City Council still needs to approve a 3rd reading, and you said you'll introduce a plan to fix problems in the next coming weeks. What's next with that? Well,
we were considering, I was very pleased to hear that a number of council members, including Councilmember Flanagan and the mayor, expressed an interest in talking further to see if we could reach some consensus. I think we have to have a plan that most of the community agrees with and that doesn't break trust with the community. And so we will be looking at what we can propose and how we can have that conversation.
All right, well, Councilmember Ann Kitchen, thank you so much for coming in and for your time.
Thank you.